Hi everyone, you're welcome back to the channel. Today is Luchke Style right here. In case your first time of seeing my face, I'm going to be sharing with you all in today's tutorial how to go about the drafting of a standard corset pattern. So this particular tutorial is not a clickbait as you saw on the thumbnail right there. It is a 100% beginners friendly tutorial. So the reason I'm showing my face today in today's intro is because I want to make something very clear. Number one, if you do not have patience, this tutorial is not for you. Number two, if you do not have the strength to calculate, this tutorial is not for you. But I'm wondering why as a tailor you wouldn't have patience, because patience is meant to be your number one priority. Then, if you are the type that want to change your corset pattern drafting game or your corset sewing, this particular tutorial is for you. If you're a beginner who is still confused on how to go about making that perfectly fitted corset, this particular tutorial is also for you. This is a worthy paid class tutorial that I'm about to share with you all for free. So I am not actually trying to entice anyone into it because I know what I'm pouring into today's tutorial. You all know how much I don't drop corset tutorials on my channel. Reason is because it is worthy of payment. But today I'm sharing it for free to my subscribers because it's Xmas already and most of us will be making outfits for our Ashwebi and the rest of them. So with all that being said, continue watching and don't skip any part of this video, and let's get started with today's tutorial. Apart from the normal body measurements that have been taken whenever we want to draft out our pattern, there are just 4 additional body measurements that I'll be including right here, and it includes number one is the upper chest line, or you can call it the across chest. So it's basically you taking the measurement from one armpit from that point right there to the other side, just exactly at your chest area, because this is basically also the chest line. So after that, you go on ahead and measure your front bust line. You do this by placing your tape on top of your boobs. So from the side of your body like this, you place it on top of your boobs to the other side. So for the back, you also do the same thing. Measure the top part from armpit to armpit for the back, and also measure the lower part, which is like the back bust. Okay, that is all that you need. So you need this because it's very important. And one thing I want you all to know is that by the time you are done measuring this, if you add it together, you're supposed to have your actual bust circumference. But we know that the front bust is always bigger than our back bust. So that is the essence of all of this. Having stated all of this now, we are going to get started with the drafting. So I already folded my pattern paper into two so that I can get the middle, because I'm using this pattern paper to draft out for the front and the back part of this my corset at the same time. So this is me folding it into two. I will open it up and I'll roll a straight line on that middle line that I have right there. So after that, now I'll start marking 1.5 inches from the top part of my pattern paper. So this point or this line I'm trying to mark right here is going to be labeled the top line, and all my measurements are going to be starting from this exact line. So the right side of my paper will be my center front and the left side will be my center back, which is CF and CB respectively. CF is center front, CB is center back. Now from that top line, the first line I'm marking vertically here is my bust point, which is the shoulder to the nipple, and mine is 10 inches. So the second line I'll be marking will be my under bust, which is from the shoulder to the under bust, and mine is 13 inches. When I still measured it from the nipple to the under bust, I have 3 inches. So whichever way you want to do yours is totally okay. Then the next I mark is my half length of 16 inches, and because this is going to be a top, I'll be making use of the actual length of this my pattern paper. So all these lines now, I've gone ahead to extend them into a straight line, and I label the first one is the bust line, the under bust, the half length, then my top length, because I'll be using the entire length of this pattern paper as my top length. So the next line will be the front bust line. All you have to do is to subtract your back half length from your front half length. So my back half length is 14 inches. I minus it from my front half length of 16 inches. So what I have now is 2 inches. So that 2 inches now, I placed it from that bust line upward. As you can see, I've done right here. Then I've connected this point into a straight line. So this line now will be labeled front bust line, or the FBL. You see, this front bust line varies from individual to individual because it depends on the size of your boobs. There are some people that have their front half length at 18 inches long and then their back half length at 14 inches. So that is why all these lines are very, very, very necessary. So the next line we'll get there now will be the across chest line, which is basically constant and it is 2 inches for everybody. From your front bust line, you just go up by 2 inches. That is constant for everybody, and I will label it my across chest. So right now I have 4 lines in total. Okay, sorry, 5 lines in total, excluding my top length. So this line now I'll be extending it to my center back. So firstly I'll extend my half length line to my center back, then I'll also extend my front bust line to the center back, and then the across chest. So it's just 3 lines that we're extending from the front to the back part, and that is all that is needed. Then I'll go on ahead to label my half length. So for the back bust line, this BBL, and then the across back instead of the across chest. So I will start imputing my body measurements. For the center front, I divided my shoulder into two, and that's 7 inches from right there on my center front. Under my shoulder, I came down by 1.5 inches for my shoulder slope. Then I'll make a mark right there. So I'll be getting my neck. My neck width is 3 inches, and the neck depth I'll also maintain the 3 inches. So I first create a block neckline before I go on ahead to use my curve rule to create a round neckline. Having done that now, that 1.5 inches I came down by from my shoulder, I'll be connecting it into my neck width, and that is my shoulder slope. Then I'll place my ruler straight and extend that my shoulder all the way to my front bust line. So when you're done with this, go on ahead to measure out that part. I have 7 inches there. Then I'll measure what I have as well on my front bust line so that I don't exceed my shoulder measurement. So on this across chest, you are going to be dividing whatever we get there by 2. So I think mine was around 13 inches or so. Then divided into 2, I had about 6 3/4. Then from the center front, you can see from the edge of that paper, I am coming in by that 6 3/4. You can see on that line labeled the across chest. It varies from individual to individual, and it is very important you actually take all these measurements. Then for the front bust line, we are dividing the front bust by 2. So mine is 10 inches, and I'm marking it on this front bust line. So you see, so I'm going to be connecting all these points together from my shoulder. From my shoulder, I connected to my across chest. Now I'm getting my curve rule to now connect this into my front bust line. Yours shouldn't be sharp like this, it should be blended. Then from that, my front bust, I'm going to be counting 3 lines. That's 0.3 inches on my tape, and I'll be marking it away from that my exact front bust. That point is needed, but for now we are going to be skipping it. Okay, then I'll move over to my half length. I'll divide my waist circumference by 4, and I'll mark what I have right there. So for the half length, you are not dividing by 2, or you are not measuring only your front waist circumference. Okay, so remember, the across chest we divide by 2, the front bust we divide by 2, but your half length we divide by 4. Then the next one is my top length. So if you know where your top or your blouse will be stopping, measure the circumference of that point and then divide it by 4. That you'll be marking the quarter of the circumference of where your top length will be stopping. So mine is 9.5, which is basically 9.4 inches. So I'll also be marking 3 lines away from that measurement right there. I will still keep it there. So now we are going to be connecting lines from this point to this waistline, then to my top length. Not that point 3 I marked though. Is this my actual body measurement? So very good. Then having done that now, I'll be connecting these point 3 lines, which is on my front bust line and my top length, together into a straight line this way. So now we are done with that. I'll proceed to the back part of my corset pattern drafting. So like I said earlier, my back half length is 14 inches. and my front half length is 16 inches. So there is a line that we're supposed to get right here, which is called the nape line. So this nape line is gotten by actually marking your half length upward from this line labeled the half length. Okay, from that line labeled my half length, I'll mark this upward to get my back half length of 14 inches. It varies from individual to individual. Then that point I'll extend it into a straight line and label it my nape line, and that is going to be the shoulder for the back part. That is how it's important to get all these lines. So now I divided my shoulder into two on this line labeled nape line. Then from that point I'll come down by 1.2 inches. That's 1 inch. Then you count two lines, that's 1.2 inches. So for the neck width, I'm also maintaining 3 inches. Then from that point there, I'll be connecting this into this 1.2 inches I have right here, and that is for the shoulder slope for the back. This is why it is a standard corset pattern drafting. Then that line, I'll be extending it down to my back bust line. Okay, so I'm simply going to be getting the neckline right here now. So from that point of my neck width, I'll count 6 lines, and that is 0.6 upward this way, 0.6, be counting 6 lines. Then I have gotten it right there, and I'll be getting my curve rule to reconnect this into this nape line. Do not get confused at all. When you go about this way, you are perfect with what you are doing, and you don't have any reason to come and start shaping your corset or any gaping or anything. Okay, so on the across back, we are going to be dividing the across back by 2, just the same way I did for the front. The across chest I divided by 2. Then for the across back, you also divide by 2. Then for the back bust line or the back bust, I'll also be dividing what I have there by 2. So you see the back bust there, I have 9 inches. The front part, I had 10 inches. So you can see. So after that, now also go on ahead to connect all these points from my shoulder to my across back to my back bust line. So you know the same thing is applicable for the back. I'll be marking point 3, that's 3 lines away from that actual measurement I have. So on my half length, I'll get the quarter of my waist circumference right there, and I'll also make a point there. On my top length, remember I said is 9.5, which is 9.4. Then I'll also mark that 0.3 inches. I'll first connect my actual body measurement together this way. Then from that my back bust line, I'll connect, from that 0.3 inches into my top length of this 0.3 inches as well. So that is it for the back. The back does not have issues. It's actually the front part that has a lot of protocols and procedures. Having gotten all the basic lines that are needed for this particular pattern, the next I'll go on ahead to get my nipple to nipple point divided into 2. Mine is 3.5 inches. I marked it on my bust line and also on my half length and my top length as well. So I'm going to be connecting all these lines together. So on my shoulder line, I'll be dividing my shoulder into 2, and whatever I have right there, I'll be connecting it into this my nipple to nipple line or point. So that is it for our dart for the center front. So I'll move over to the back part. So at the back, we're not dividing our nipple to nipple point by 2. We're actually dividing the across back by 4. Okay, then when I divided my across back by 4, I had 3.2 inches, which is 3.25. You understand? So I'll be connecting this together from my back bust line into my top length. So I'll be measuring the distance between my waist and this straight line here for the front, and here I have 2.3 inches. Then for this other part, I had 2 inches. So we are trying to get our dart, okay, for our dart intake. So here is 2 inches and here's 2.3 inches. I'll be adding up these two numbers together, and I'll be dividing it by 6. So this is a formula you use, but if you get anything less than zero point 0.4, which is half inch, please go on ahead and mark half of an inch. So when you're a bust size of 30 something, always make use of half of an inch, but if you're on a bust size of 40 something, use 3/4 of an inch. So at both sides of my dart on my half length, I came out by half of an inch because I'm on a bust size of 38 inches. So now you can see how I'm creating or connecting this my dart leg. I'm also going to be replacing my dart, but with just half of an inch, which is zero point 0.4. Okay, I'm not going to be replacing it now by 1 inch because I want this dress to be slightly snatched. Okay, not too snatched. So when I did this now, I connected this from that 0.3 inch I have right there into my half length, then into my top length. This same procedure, I'll be doing it for the back or the center back. At both sides of my half length, I marked half of an inch away from my dart. Then I'm connecting my dart this way. I'll be replacing my dart by just half of an inch and not 1 inch, because when you measure the dart intake I have right here is 1 inch, but I'm replacing it with just half of an inch. This is going to come out snatched. Reason is because I don't want this to be too snatched. I always don't snatch my corset like that so that I can be able to breathe and feel comfortable, okay, in my corset dress. So after this now, the next thing is to form our cycle right here. So if you don't have this compass, it's totally fine. I'll still show you another method on how you can get your cycle right here. But if you have your compass, that's totally fine. Measure out the distance between your bust line to your under bust. So mine is 3 inches. So that would be what I'll be using to create this my cycle right here. So make sure that your compass is that wide. So mine is 3 inches wide. This is my compass. So I'll be placing the pointy part of my compass under my bust line on my dart. Then I'll be creating a circle right here. So I'll be using my marker to highlight this my cycle so that it can be very clear, since I'm using a pencil to actually sketch it first. So another way you can actually get this circle is that, you know, that difference from the bust line to the under bust, mine is 3 inches. So you place your tape or your bust line on that dart like this, and you keep moving it all around. So if you don't have a compass, just use this method. So moving mine all around, you can still see that that 3 inches is hitting on exactly that this circle I created right here. Okay, so the next one now is to tighten our on the board. So to do this, I'll measure what I have from this dot line to the edge of my paper, then from this line here to this dot I have right here. So here I have 5.4 inches, which is 5.5. I'll also do the same thing for the back. I'll measure what I have from that dot to this point. I have 5.1 inches. Then from this part to this other part, I have 3 inches. All these lines right here, I'm going to be adding all of them together. Sorry, all these numbers, I'll be adding all of them together, and at the end of the day I had 16.7. I multiplied that by 2 and I have 33.4 inches. So that is called the pattern under bust. So my body under bust, when I took the my under bust measurement on my body, mine is 32.4 inches. So this 32.4 inches, I'll be subtracting it from this 33.4 inches, which is my pattern under bust. So when I did this, what I have here now is 1 inch. So this 1 inch, I'll be dividing it by 4, and I'll be having 0.25 inches. So like I said before, if you don't want to go through all this calculation, just go on ahead and subtract or mark half of an inch like this on your under bust. If you're on a bust size of 40 something upward, that is when you can use 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch. It should not exceed 1 inch. So you can see how I marked that half of an inch on my under bust line at both sides, and now I connected it into my bust line this way. I hope you saw everything I did. Now I'm going to be reconnecting this from my under bust into my half length just this way. Even if my explanation is not so clear, everything I'm doing right here is 100% clear. So you see how fast we are really progressing, and it is very clear to us all. So the next I'll be getting is my side dart, or sometimes I call it my classic dart. So I'll be measuring what I have in between my across chest to my front bust line, and it is 2 inches. So from that line below my bust line, that line there, I mark 2 inches. So these 2 inches, I'll be extending it into my bust line right there. Then I'll be getting the middle of this 2 inches I'm extending right there, and from there I will come down by 1 inch. That's the half of 2 inches is 1 inch. So that 1 inch now, I'll also go on ahead to reconnect it into my bust line. Having reconnected this now, we are going to make out for any loss, because by the time we fold this in, we'll be short of our body measurement. So from that red line, that red marker there, I marked half of an inch out this way. So from the top part of that point 3 here, I connected this to that half of an inch. Then from that half an inch, I connected it back into my half length. So that is just how to go about your side dart. Then after that, I'll be doing the overbust tightening. So like this, we are going to fold this, then it's going to be corresponding by the time I'm done with all my drafting. Okay. So I'll be doing the overbust tightening. So to do this, I'm basically going to be taking the measurement of what I have on my underbust. So when I did that, I had, I think, 1.6 inches. So I'll fold it into two, and I have I think zero point 0.6 inches. So I'll be dividing this now, or sharing this into two from this dart leg at both sides. Okay, so for this part 0.6, for this other part 0.6. So I'll now reconnect this into my bust line. So you can see that everything we are doing right here still goes back to the bust line area. So most of the time, this actually gapes. I've noticed it countless times. So to avoid any form of gaping, you're going to come to these darts which are already created right here, and you're going to be marking 0.2 inches. That's quarter of an inch. This is to avoid gaping. I'm tightening this over bust area now. Okay, then I'll also do the same thing for the other side, 0.2 inches. I'll also reconnect it. This is to avoid any form of gaping. So that is how simple it is right here. So next thing is to get now the body part of our crochet. So if you want to make a bustier, this is just basically it. But that is not what we are into for today. So from that, my still my bust line, I went up by half of an inch. Then I'll come in this way by half of an inch as well. So I'll connect these two little lines together. Then I'm going to bring my curved ruler, and I'll be placing my curved ruler from that my bust line to my under bust. Okay, just be very mindful on the way you place your curve rule. So when my curve rule stop exactly on that under bust, I now connected from that half inch into my under bust. So I'm making use of different colors of marker so that you all will not get confused. Now for the side, now I'll be connecting this from this my shoulder. Now you know this point here, I'll be connecting it into my under bust. So this part is always wider than this other part, which is the center front. So this part now I just created now is the side front. Okay, so having created that, now from the armhole, I'll be coming down by just half of an inch, and I'll be connecting this way in a dotted line into this cup area of my corset. So when I reach to that point, I will stop. Then I'll close that dart, because I'm trying to get my neckline. If you do not close this dart, first of all, if after marking this, it's going the neckline is going to be unequal. So when I got to that point, I had to go on ahead to close my dart. Then I continued in a dotted line this way. I'll continue marking this and stop, connect it into that half of an inch. So by the time I now cut off this dart I have right here, the two necklines are going to align perfectly. Okay, so that is basically it. Then for the side, now I'll be coming up by 1.5 inches at the side this way. I want this to be slightly curved. Then I'll curve it into my center front. So we are done drafting. This is just the finishing touches that I'm doing right here. So after that, now I'll just go on ahead to cut out this pattern. So we are done with our pattern drafting. That was why I made the comment that if you are not ready for calculation and you don't have patience, this tutorial is not for you, because it takes a lot, but at the end of the day you'll be happy with the outcome. So I've cut off the side and I've cut off the base as well. So the next one I'll be cutting through now will be the dart. So this dart, I'll be cutting it through from the center first, so that I can be able to close my side dart. So you can see what I'm doing right here. Use your sellotape or your masking tape to close this side darts by the time you fold it in like this, and you tape it down, just as you can see I'm doing right here. Just close it properly and make sure that everything relaxes very well. So just in case you want to convert yours into a three-part corset, what you are going to do is that from your armhole at this side, I came down by 2.5 inches. Then on the middle of your cup area, come down by 2 inches, sorry. Then for the other side, I came down by 2.5 inches. So if you want to get your three-part corset, you do it by the time you are done cutting out your cup, okay? So that you can eliminate all the darts first. So I initially I didn't want to do this into a three-part corset, but after cutting the cup, I just had to go on ahead to do it into a three-part corset. But if you're doing your three-part corset, this is not the appropriate time to do it yet. It is after cutting out your cup and cutting off all the dart intakes. That is when you do your three-part corset, okay? So this is just me trying to show you all how to do it, because initially I thought I was not going to do this into a three-part corset. So after that, now from the armhole, I'm cutting this out. I'm cutting out the cup area this way. Then I'll still proceed to cut out from the underbust this way. Just watch what I'm doing. I'm cutting out on that black marker line, then into that half of an inch. Simple. Then I'll proceed with the remaining cup I have right here. So you can see what I'm doing right here. Then finally the cup for this part. Don't get confused yet. We are all doing this together. Now I'm cutting out for the yoke part of this my blouse. Now the neckline area. So remember that I'm yet to eliminate the that I have for the side front, center front, and also that cup area, okay? So SF is side front, CF is center front, and the upper part is my yoke, and this part is my cup that I'll be firstly working with before I proceed with the body part. So I'll go on ahead and remove the remnant of the dart intake I have right here on my cup. So at this point was when I made up my mind to do this into a three-part corset. So to do this, you have to align the top part. So you can see that thing I told you all earlier, that if you don't eliminate your dart before getting your three-cup corset, it will not align. So this is just basically it. So from the side of this, I came down by 2 inches. In the middle, I came down by 2 inches. Then this other side, I also wanted to do 2.5 inches, but it did not align. It was very small, so I had to redo this 2 inches at this side, 1.5 inches at the middle, and at the side 2 inches. So I connected this all these points together. Then I'm just going to be cutting it out exactly the way I have drafted. So now it's into three. That's why it's called a three-part corset cup. So now I'll be making arrows to indicate all the points I'll be joining. For this part, I labeled 1, 2, and 3. Then I'll be making arrows, because if you join this the way you're not supposed to, you will regret ever making a corset. I'm telling you. So all these arrows are very necessary, indicating the part that is going for each part, okay? So with this now, I'm okay with this. So I know the part to join first, and that's basically it. So I'll move over now to the back part to complete it. So I want the neckline to be deeper than this. So from that my nape line, I came down by 1 inch and I connected it into my neck depth. So at this point, it's not really necessary to be connecting it at that top part. just from that normal neck depth on that neckline. Then from that neck I came down by 1.5 inches, and from my dart I went away by 1 inch. Now I'm going to be connecting it this way, so I have to cut off at least 1.5 inches like this from the edge of my paper so that I can be able to snatch this. Okay, so these points now I'll connect it into a straight line. Just do exactly what I'm doing right here, because zipper will not be attached to this back part. At the side I also went up by 1.5 inches as I did for the front. Then for that center back I went up by 1 inch. I got the middle of this my pattern paper right here. Now I'm connecting this way, so it's just for design. I just want to give it this design. You can leave yours straight, it's still perfectly okay, but I wanted to give mine a slight design, as you can see right here. So that is it for the back parts. That is it. The back part is always very easy and simple when it comes to pattern drafting. So I'm going on ahead now to cut out. I've cut out the side. Now I'm cutting off the neckline and the shoulder. The next thing is the armhole. Then from the yoke part I'm going to be slashing this front like this, so you can see. Then that 1.5 inches I'll be cutting it off. I don't want this to be too tight on me, that's why I'm going with 1.5 inches. Indicate the points that I will be fixing my eyelets on this part, and then so that is it for the back. Very simple. So for my cup area I actually went on ahead to use my sellotape to show you all what it will look like by the time we are done sewing. So this is what I have right here. You can see how cupped is looking already. This is just ordinary paper and it's looking this cup. How much more when we now insert all of this wording and all our cup and all of that. So this center front and this side front, you should observe there's still that line on them, so it will be entirely eliminated. For no reason should your dart still be on your center front and your side front. So at the end of the day, that's basically how to go about the drafting pattern. Thank you all so much for your patience. If you've come this far watching this video, I really appreciate you a whole lot. God bless you. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. So in the next part, or the second part of this tutorial, we'll be going about the drafting, and trust me, it's something you're definitely going to love the outcome. See you all next time on the same channel. Have a lovely day ahead of you. Bye.